Hello, everybody. It is Monday, 5:15, so May 15th. So we're mid-month in May, and typically this is a pretty volatile month, but it still hasn't. We haven't seen a ton yet. The euro, the U.S. dollar has moved quite a bit, 100 pips, and really since the open of this week, and so it's been on a bit of a recovery. And I've actually had a couple of trades, well, one in particular, and let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so had this position here. This was an inside candle setup. We had a gap here, inside candle, the gap from the weekend, and then the inside candle setup here. Um, Sorry, I didn't mark that right in here. All right, and I had an entry, and it was a good one. You can see that the drawdown was really quite small, and went down, and I ended up taking just about 70 pips on this trade. And so what that looks like is let's refresh this. So you can see here it was 67.40, and with a 40.47% gain, just $25. I actually withdrew some of my account. You can see here I withdrew quite a bit of funds, about 10,000. And the reason why, as I already mentioned, is I'm moving over to MaverickFX.com. And I mentioned about Maverick and talked a little bit about it in a couple streams ago, and what I plan to do with them. Currently, I'm going to be starting at this level. I've already spoke with them. I'll be starting at level 2. So I will receive 70% of the profits that I make, and with a $20,000 account. I'm also going to be putting in 10,000 of my own money as well, and that's why I withdrew from Oanda. So I will be trading with about 30 or so thousand. It's going to be about 28 to $30,000 that I'll be trading at Maverick. All right, and that's going to be at Interactive Brokers. This broker is a little bit different, and I'm going to have to use a certain type of software in order for me to have my trades copied from MT4 to Interactive Brokers. So if anybody knows Interactive Brokers, you'll understand that they do not have an MT4 platform, which is really interesting. So you'll see that I have to use a bridge in order to bridge the MT4 platform from my broker to Interactive Brokers. It's a bit complicated, but I'll show you how to do it. And if anybody wants to follow along with joining Maverick, this will be a good thing to do because you'll know what I'm doing. Uh, and you can copy me as well if you wanted to start at Maverick. Uh, so with that being said, let's go to my trades again. Back to the trades. I have two that are currently in. So I've already mentioned about the one that's took about 70 pips profit this so far this week. And so I currently have two more trades in after another inside candle setup here. So we entered on the next candle, then this went down further, entered another trade here, so trade 2 at 0.05, 0.05. And the reason why we're using 0.05 is because our count is about 5,000. And that's my rule is I'll trade, if I have 10,000, I'll trade at 0.1. If I have 7,000, I'll trade at 0.07. And that will be my base for my basket trades. Okay, so these two trades aren't in profit yet. You can see that the current drawdown. There was almost a third trade that went in at the bottom, but it wasn't quite enough. The price needs to go about 23 pips or so, 24, and you can see that it moved just about 20. So not enough to have another entry. I'm hoping for a pop up here. We'll see what happens. We're near a whole number. The whole number is the 76 level, so there should be some volatility in this area. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and what I'm going to focus on, is algorithm trading. And how to backtest a strategy uh, appropriately. A lot of traders don't know how to backtest very well because it's a little bit complicated, and the results can change from broker to broker. Uh, and the strategy tester, there's a lot of options. What's the spread here? What does that mean? The time frame period, all the options that your EA offers or your expert advisor offers, the pairs, the time frames, the visual mode, selecting your EA. Uh, a lot of these options, optimization, a lot of these options you don't really, a lot of traders don't actually know. Even skilled traders don't know how to really work the tester uh, correctly. And I feel like the tester is a great way to find settings that work well in previous history. That's all we have to really go off on is results that have worked in the past can potentially work in the future. And that goes for every single trading strategy out there. Every strategy was built or based on something that has worked in the past, um, and not every strategy, but indicators as well. For example, let me see if I can pull up an indicator. So this indicator here, so this RMI that you know that I use, was developed based on the price, right? And it follows the price based on what it's doing in extreme situations. But how is this type of indicator really built? Well, because of previous data, and it compiles that data and makes it into something that we are seeing here. It also follows the future data and what's happening. But in order for an indicator to be made, it has to follow a protocol or a certain code or certain types of events that happen. And a good way to do that is by compiling previous data. Um, so basically, the tester can be a good tool in finding a profitable strategy, or even making a profitable strategy better. Um, so where to start? A good place to start is by going to mql5.com. Now I've mentioned this website before, and it's a great place to look for and create have indicators created or EAs created or templates. Pretty much anything that has to do with MT4 or MT5, you can have it coded. You can also find a bunch of free indicators as well and EAs on top of that. It's just a really good place to be. So I'm going to log in here. And show you around a little bit. You can see that there's also trading traders that you can copy as well. They have reviews, and you can pay to copy the traders. As you can see, this one's $20 a month. And I'd be very cautious with copying traders on this website because results can be skewed a bit. They are not completely accurate, so I would be very careful and take the results with a grain of salt. Um, and be careful about the instructions that the traders give you as well uh, in copying their trades. See, leverage recommended is 500 to 1. You'll see that with most trading systems or EAs or copy software that most of them require a higher leverage. And my trading doesn't. I have a 50 to 1 leverage requirement. I could even use lower than that. But that's the thing with these traders that a lot of them don't work with US traders, unfortunately. And so you have to kind of dig around for that. So a really cool tool to take advantage of is looking at these, and you can do copy trades, and it integrates with MT4 uh, better than a lot of other trade copiers do. Um, so yeah, look around and see what you can find. Excuse me. Okay, so there's also the market. And the market's a great place because you can find things, you can buy indicators, you can buy EAs. You can also look for, uh, let's see if I can move this over a bit. See, they have their categories MT5, MT4, and they have indicators, experts, and you can kind of do your search and look for free, and you can find some expert advisors that are free. And this could be a good place to start. So, for example, let's say the True Scalper EA. Yeah, you can see that it has reviews 8 and it has 4.5 stars, right? I don't know how good this EA actually is. Looks like we have a couple of pictures. Looks like it's decent, but it could be a good place to start. So if you know how this EA trades, or if you can find out what it uses to do its scalping, then you might be able to modify it in a way to make it even more profitable longer term. And I'm going to show you how to do that and how to do the testing in the tester, MT4 tester, to try to figure that out, try to find better settings, improve the EA as well. Okay. So if you don't have an EA or don't have a strategy, this might be a good place to start. So you can um, go on your way to looking for an algorithm that can work with you and potentially give you an edge. Okay, so that's uh, one EA. There's quite a few of them that I believe are free. And you can check them all out. I haven't looked at them really well, but it's something that I plan maybe to do down the road since there's quite a few options and a lot of them have decent reviews. There's also paid ones as well. So for example, just one that first pops up is SFE. You can see that for 1 month it's 180. If you buy a license, it's $1,800. If it's $1,800, that means that this trader is very confident in his EA and what it does. But the problem is, a lot of times with these purchased EAs or retail EAs is that don't um, they don't tell you what the actual strategy is behind the EA itself. So what it looks for, how it trades, how many pips profit is it looking for, what pairs is it best on, how long has the backtesting been working. This one actually shows counting on a 10-year backtest period and more than 2.5 years of live action since mid 2014. So that's pretty great, but still it doesn't show you likely won't tell you how the EA trades itself. Why is it profitable for the last 10 years? And why is it profitable for the last 2.5 years since 2014? What does it look for? What indicators does it use? A lot of times you can ask the developer what it looks for, what the EA trades on, what indicators does it use, and they will tell you. But a lot of times they will keep it secret, um, and for personal reasons, and that I completely understand. Um, but it is a better place to find retail EAs. For those of you that are looking for a good retail EA, this is a good place to do it because you can read the reviews, you can see the prices, you can try it out for a month before you want to buy a full license. You can also do a free demo. A lot of them have a free demo that you can try out for 1 to 2 weeks. And you can read the reviews to see how people have been using the EA uh, in the short and longer term. A good place to be if you're looking for a place to start again in the algorithm trading. All right, so you can look at uh, the EAs, the paid EAs. Some of them are so very expensive, like this one is 12,000. But you can also look into the indicators section under paid as well, and you'll see that there's some pretty expensive indicators, and you can also read the reviews on that. Again, really awesome site, one of the best websites for trading knowledge and tools that you can pretty much find anywhere because I feel like it's a decently honest place for finding those tools. It's hard to find a completely um friendly place that's perfect when it comes to not getting scammed in the forex market, but there are ways to manipulate results pretty much on any website out there, and so you still have to be very careful with purchasing an indicator or an EA because you never know if these reviews are legitimate. I mean, it's possible that a user could create multiple names under an account and write reviews for himself. That's always a possibility. Um, Again, unlikely and maybe a bit tricky to do, but it's something that that is possible. So always keep your guard up because there are more scams out in the trading world, especially in the foreign exchange market, than there are in even stock trading or any other type of trading. Um, and So just be careful. Okay, so freelance. This is where I've gone, and this is what I've used a lot. And if I go to my account and I go under my jobs, you'll see that I apparently have no jobs currently active, but you'll see all the ones that I have done in the past. I have 9 pages of jobs. I think it usually tells me how many I've had completed. Um, it looks like 85. I think I've had overall um, that have been completed for me. I thought it was more like close to 100. But it shows that I've been very active with making my ideas into algorithms. And so that's a pretty good place to be. So what you do is if you want a code or an idea that you've had uh, created into a new job, what you do is you make an order. And this is a previous order that I've done. And you tell the coders what you want. And I said, I have a new job for you. It's $20. I need an EA that closes all open orders. All orders need to close without FIFA violation. And I say, so close all orders. One, close all orders at a dollar amount. Two, close at pips profits. That means that for basket trading means that if you have multiple orders and you want them all to close out at an overall profit of say 50 pips, then that's what that means. Um, Also, and this is an understanding with my coder. You might have to re-explain that idea if you decide that you want basket trading to be in your EA. Um, and then also close all order at a percent amount. And you can see once the order is created, you can leave feedback, you can talk to your coder, you can select it. So what you do is you go back to the freelance area, and you can see there's a bunch of jobs here, right? From people that are looking for things to be created for them, and you just do new job. You agree to the terms, press OK, and then you select how many days you want this job to be finished in, the cost that you think that you want for the EA. If it's more complicated, the cost may be higher. If it's more simple, based on one indicator or uses just one indicator, or a strategy that uses one indicator, and you want it to be programmed into an EA, might not be too expensive. If it's a strategy that uses no indicators, then it may be even cheaper, but it also depends on how many options you add to it. So you can select that you want it to be MQL4, which is basically used with MT4. You want to select if it's an expert advisor, a library, scripts, integration, other, or indicators. I usually just do expert advisors and press OK. Typically, my jobs range from it's probably because I've been working with my coder for such a long time. They range from 20 all the way up to $50 typically, and it depends on what you're really looking for and how complex that EA actually is. The prices can range depending on the coder that you have help you. Okay, so if you do a new job and you press OK once you're done typing out your job description or and attaching any pictures as well, you do add, and what will happen is the your job will come up here and it will show the budget um, and how many applications, either, for example, this asterisk EA that this person has put up for anybody to help him out or her out. And you can see all of the description. And you can see how these are all the coders that I have offered to take this job. And they usually will also have a cost that they agree with. So if it's $30 to $80, that means that the coder has an option to accept 30 all the way up to 80, but also counter at a higher amount or even a lower amount as well, depending on the workload. So you can see that. So you can pick your coder. You can see how much experience they have by clicking on each individual, how many jobs they finished, what their average price is, and it's quite cool actually. So anybody that has a good that they feel that they have a good strategy, um, and want to see if it works long term, there's only so much testing that you guys can do with a strategy on visually, like manual visual backtest. So you could like search on the candlesticks and see you can get the crosser out and do this and do that to see how profitable the strategy is. But most MT4s are limited to how far back you can go. Most can only go back about a year or so, only on the 1 hour time frame. You might be able to go back a little bit farther than that if it's on the H4. But it is limited to only a year, and you guys should know that a strategy that's only worked for a year may not be profitable the next year. So my idea is if the longer the strategy has worked, the uh, the more likely it is to continue to keep working. So that's why my strategies or my algorithms have worked since the beginning of data that I can pull. I could start to pulling data on the pound CAD since 2007 and data since 1995, I think, on the euro pound. And my strategies have never blown up in that since the beginning. And if you guys decide that you want to create an algorithm, I suggest that you try to find a strategy that has worked um, from 2000, at least from 2010 on to current date. So it's about 7 years. If you can find something that's worked in that time frame and that is continuing to work, I think that's a really good step. So that's usually what I do when I finish an algorithm or have my coder finish an algorithm. I test it from 2010 all the way to current date 2017. Now, if it's worked and it shows positive results, then I'm going to take it back even further, and I'm going to do even more extensive testing and go back to 2000 on. So that's 17 years. And if it continues to work, then I'm going to go back to as far as I can, 1995, 1993, as far as I can pull the data. So let's get into the strategy tester to show you once your EA is finished what you want to do in the settings and so on and so forth. So this is the RMI EA Insight Candle with using pivot points. So it's using a pivot point indicator to help with basket trading on re-entries. You can see the RMI settings in here. So this is the RMI grouping trade settings. So these are all the basket options. If I want to use a grid, if I want to use a stop loss, if I want to exit by reverse, ECM broker, spread filter. So this is pretty important thing to have as well. That means that the spread is too high. I want enter trades. How many trades do I want open at the same time? So these are the kind of settings that you should think about on your when creating your EA. What kind of money management do you want? Because the money management is just as important or more so than the actual strategy itself. Because a bad money management strategy can make a good trading system, well, bad. And a good money management system can make a bad system actually good. And so, with that being said, I do think that a good money management strategy, is more important than the actual strategy, trading strategy itself. Um, so you can also use trailing stops. You can implement pips profit, meaning this setting for me is a overall pips profit for amongst all trades. So if I have 5 trades in, then they're going to take just total 5 pips profit amongst all of those trades combined. I can also close up a dollar amount as well. Stop loss percent. I have martingale options as well, just in case I want to be more risky. And those are the things that you should be looking to add to an EA, because the more options you have to the EA, the more expensive it will be to create, but also the more uh, types of settings that you can work with to try to find something that works profitably long term. So let's talk about the tester now, and selecting your EA. So I've told you how to install indicators, or I've showed you how to install indicators before. It's the same kind of thing for expert advisors. You can find YouTube videos on this. I'm not going to show you how to actually install an expert advisor onto your MT4 platform. It's not hard to do. This is about the settings in it because most people don't talk about uh, the 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 tester settings and how to appropriately work with them. So you can select your trading pair, which is the pound CAD for me, and you can select the model. Now, control points, open prices, every tick. You don't need to know the big details about which each of these options do. All you need to know really is that every tick is the most accurate, and usually it takes the longest as well, is because it's the most precise with the testing. Control points I find to be the second most accurate. It usually shows you the entries of your trades, but it's not quite accurate on the exits, so it won't take the exact uh, pip amount if you have a 50 pip take profit. For example, it may take 55, it may take 60, it may take 45. It's not completely accurate on those exits. Now, if you do every ticks and every tick test, it will be a lot closer. But the great thing about control points is that it's a lot faster. It takes not as long, um, but it still shows you the correct entries. So you'll be able to find out if your EA is actually profitable by using a control points test. In most cases, most of my EAs, if they're profitable in control points, then they're likely going to be profitable in every tick. Now the profit that's showing me, the ending profit that's showing in control points may not be the same as every tick, but it still shows me that an EA is profitable. Open prices, I haven't found a lot of use for open prices with my EAs. I find it to not be very helpful. The entries are not very accurate in most EAs, and the exits aren't as well. It's one that just, if you really want to see some results, you can do an open prices. It's very quick. It goes to the data very fast. It's even faster than control points. Um, but I don't find it very helpful, and I haven't in the future, in the past as well. Okay, so use date. Now, use date is you basically want to use a specific time frame. So from 2000, the year 2000, January to 2017. We'll do today, so you can select the dates. I do today, um, and then visual mode. So the visual mode means that you'll see the chart in action. So let's start that. Oh, I'm doing every tick. So every tick takes a lot longer. We're going to do control points. Okay, so you can see the test starts right away. And you can see this is the visual mode, so it shows you it shows you all the trades going in into the market. You can also kind of work with this as well. Whoops. And change I don't know how to get rid of that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you want to bring in a template. You can also do that as well. So I'm going to load up my main template, and you can still see where the trades are being placed. You can see here the trade that just entered and exited there. I'm not really sure why this keeps coming up. Because I think it's because I keep right-clicking the chart. Um, but yes, and it will follow your settings that you placed in your EA, so the expert properties. And you can see here, it doesn't show a lot of results right off the bat. And the reason why is because if you do skip to, so it doesn't, you can roll the mouse, but it's not an active chart anymore unless you click on it. But you can actually see the results at this point. You can see how the strategy is doing in the longer term, how many trades it's taking, where they're being placed. And you can also check, the most important thing to check is if it's actually accurate. Now, I'm looking for inside candle setups, right, with my RMI, and you can see that it was entered at the right point, and also exited at the right point as well. And like I said, control points is not always accurate on the exit, but it's pretty close, and it should give you a pretty good idea. Now, I'm going to stop this test for now. I'm going to show you that this is also a really important thing to note, the spread. Now it says 20, which I have here, which is not quite right because I need to set it at 4. The reason why I do it at 40, and 40 means a spread of 4 pips. The reason I do it at 40 is because typically the spread on the pound CAD is anywhere from 3 to 4 pips, so I usually go on the higher side of that expectation, and I will set it at 40. So keep that in mind that if it's 20, that means it's 2 pip spread, and if it's 40, it's a 40 pip spread. And you can't do variable spread, unfortunately. You have to do just a standard 4 pips, which means that the back testing is not completely accurate even on an every tick test because you know that the market's not a fixed 4 pip spread all the time. It changes. And that's why I have in my settings in the EA where I will have a spread filter of 10 pips. That means that if it increases more than 10 pips, no trades will enter. I could lower that to anything I want. I could do it to make sure that no trades are entered more than 4 pips if I'd like, but I like a little bit more flexibility. Okay, um, so you can see that I have stop losses, take profits, tons of options to work with this EA. Now my EAs I can find usually I can find multiple settings that work, so that's why I include so many settings to begin with, is because I want to test so many different variables to see how many variables I can find that are profitable. The more I can find that are profitable in one single EA, the better and more usable the EA actually is. Um, Now, I think that's a good portion of the things I wanted to go over. You don't really need to know simple properties. You can look at it and see what kind of information you can find out on it. Margin percent, contract size, things like that. But it's not really that important. You can open a chart. You can modify the expert advisor yourself here as well. But the most important things that you need to know are using the date, visual mode, because if you don't have this checked, you won't be able to see the chart. And then the last thing I'm going to cover is the data. So you can't actually run the tester. You can't run the tester at all, even selecting your right pair. You have all your options, unless you go over tools and go into the history center. The history center is a place where you can download previous data for a specific pair, and I'll show you how to do that. So if we want to download the history for the pound CAD, we want to download the highest quality data that we can from the broker. So that means that we're going to go from the 1 minute, so every tick, and we're going to press download, and it's going to pull all the data and go back as far as the data will be pulled from your broker, usually about 2007. And that's how you'll be able to test that given symbol that you're working with. All right. Um, and so you won't be able to run the tester if you have not downloaded the data from the History Center. Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful to those that are wanting to get more into algorithm trading. Either you're purchasing retail EAs, you're downloading them off of mql5.com, and this is a good way to start implementing yourself into algorithm trading. Maybe not for trading, taking over your trading completely, but as a very good tool. So you can use EAs to your advantage by maybe finding a strategy that works all hands off. It's all a complete autopilot, and you don't have to do any manual intervention. That's a possibility, and I have found that. Um, or you can use EA trading just to see if your strategy is profitable in the longer term. So you can create an EA that follows your strategy, but let's say that it doesn't have all the options that manual trading does, like its entries are not perfect, its exits are not perfect, um, and you may not have entered that trade because of discretion. Manual trading has a lot of discretion involved, and sometimes EAs don't have, uh, well, most of the time EAs don't have discretion. You can give them protocols to follow and filters to help with that, but discretion is something that you can't really program. And so there will be subtle differences. But if you have a strategy that works in EA form, that means that if you manually trade it, it's likely going to be even better. So that's why I'm showing you how to run the tester so you can have better tools in your disposal for finding that profitable edge in the Forex market. All right, I think that's all I wanted to cover for today, guys and gals. And I'll pick things up again later on this week, and we'll talk more about um, how my trades are doing, longer term results, and I should have a deposit coming in to Maverick FX, and I should be trading that 30K later on this week. I'm hoping latest Friday. So I'll keep you posted on that, my performance with the 30,000, and I'll show that live on my screens as well, and show you my trade results. And this account here will continue to be traded. Um, that's just the 5,000. And it should stay roughly around this amount. It could fluctuate anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6,000 here and there, but I'm hoping to keep it pretty regulated in this area. All right, I think that's it for now, and I'll see you guys later on this week. And let me know if you have any questions, and please give me a thumbs up if you have liked this video. All right, later. Bye, guys.